Good morning. It is a cold one today. It's 20 something degrees out, so wearing the legit winter gear today. I picked up the Adidas Adios Pro 4. I just got that yesterday. So right now I'm wearing the Adios Pro 3. I wanted to refresh myself on this shoe because I know the question a lot of people are asking with the Pro 4 is, how does it compare to the Pro 3 and which one's better? So I wanted to give myself a quick reminder of the Pro 3 and then try on the Pro 4. I've had a lot of success with the Adios Pro 3. This is my second pair that I'm wearing that I wore for the Chicago Marathon this year. Probably about 50 miles on these, over 150 miles on my other pair. So over 200 miles in the Adios Pro 3 between those two shoes. So just want to give myself a quick reminder on how these ones feel and then test out the new ones. So 2 miles down in the Adios Pro 3, averaged about 7:22 pace for that. I really wasn't trying to push too hard. I was just kind of running what felt a comfortable pace, what the shoe really kind of wanted to hang out in, because I want to test how this feels against the Pro 4, where their kind of natural pace lies for me. A couple things about this shoe. The stability is great. It really keeps your foot centered as you're running. So anybody that overpronates, the Adios Pro 3 is a great super shoe for that. Also, something with that has to do with the fact that the foam is a little bit firmer than some of the other super foams that are out there. I've compared this in the past, Light Strike Pro, to like a racquetball, where it's a bouncy ball, but when you push in on it, there's not a lot of give there. It's a little bit more firm. That's kind of the energy return that you get from the Adios Pro 3. It's more immediate. It sinks in a little bit and then wants to rebound immediately, get you onto your toes, use the stiffness of those carbon rods to propel you forward. So it's a propulsive shoe. It's a smooth shoe. But it's not as bouncy as some of the other ones. So just from wearing the Pro 4, I can feel how much softer that foam is. So we're gonna see how they compare now. So just stepping into these shoes, there's a couple of really big differences that you notice right away. The upper is much better on the Pro 4. That's something where some people had issues with lockdown from the Pro 3. The way that the lace eyelets are, that's been completely changed. Also, the material is a lot softer and stretchier. It has more of a glove-like fit. So I'm really liking the fit of the upper of the 4 above the 3. One thing that could be an issue for some people though, I find that Adidas shoes tend to run a little bit long. So on normal shoes, I'm a 12. In running shoes, I'm either a 12 or 12 and a half. But usually with Adidas, I'm always good with the 12 and I have a little bit of room still. The Pro 3 in a 12, I have almost a thumbnail length between my big toe and the front of the shoe. Whereas with the Pro 4, my toe is pretty much right up against the front of the shoe. So it definitely runs a little bit shorter than the Pro 3. Whether you need to go a half a size up, I'm not sure, because I haven't really run in the shoe yet to see how it feels. I did experience this with the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris this year, where I first tried it on, the upper felt a little bit tight, but then once I started running it really kind of loosened up and felt good. The other couple big differences, the foam is incredibly softer. So these are both called Light Strike Pro, but I wish brands would stop doing this, where that's Adidas's name for their super foam. This is a completely different Light Strike Pro than the Adios Pro 3, but it's still called Light Strike Pro. So I wish they'd give it a new name, since it's technically a new foam. But this version of Light Strike Pro, much softer. So we'll see when I run how that affects things. And you can also feel the change in the rocker point in this shoe. They took a lot of the cues from the Pro Evo 1, and the rocker now starts at 60% of the shoe. So it's moved a little bit further back. Even when I'm walking here, I can feel it tipping me sooner to my toes. So this is designed to have more of an aggressive kind of roll to it. So we'll see how they feel when I run together in them. Something that I didn't mention yet that's actually pretty important is this shoe actually lost a decent amount of weight from the Pro 3 as well. The Pro 3 in my size I just weighed yesterday when I got this shoe, and it came in at 9.45 ounces. This shoe comes in at 8.15 ounces, so it actually lost 1.3 ounces, which is pretty significant. And the other thing that I did that I thought was pretty interesting, right after that I put the Takumi Sen 8 on the scale, which is one of my lightest shoes, and that's also 8.15 ounces. So it's actually the same exact weight as the Adios Pro 4 in my size, even though that's a much lower stack shoe. That shoe is only 33 millimeters in the heel, where this is 39. So this has an extra 6 millimeters of stack and still is the same weight as the Takumi Sen, which is a really minimal tempo shoe. So that's very impressive by Adidas to be able to get the weight down in this shoe. I believe this is the third lightest carbon shoe I have now, behind just the Puma Deviate Elite 3 and the Asics Edge Paris that both weigh under 8 ounces. Those are the only two shoes I have in my size out of all my shoes that weigh under 8 ounces. So this one's getting close to 8 ounces, so definitely on the lighter side as far as a marathon racer goes. A couple other big improvements right away. This upper is light years better than the Adios Pro 3. It's one of the most comfortable uppers I've actually ever felt. I barely feel this on my foot at all. To the touch, it's soft and nice and stretchy, and it just kind of disappears on your foot. You get a really nice lockdown. It's a really comfortable upper. They also have improved the tongue. The tongue on the Adios Pro 3 was kind of a floppy tongue that kind of could move around. It had no padding in it, so really it was just focusing on keeping the weight down. This tongue has padding right down the middle of the eyelet chain to relieve a lot of that lace pressure. It does end though right where you tie the laces. They could have extended that up a little bit. That would have helped. But very comfortable upper. The laces are pretty short in this shoe. I haven't needed to do a runner's knot, but if I did, I don't think I would have enough lace to do it. The way that it's tied right now, there's not a lot of excess laces there. Well, the pathetic GoPro battery strikes again. It said I had 64% battery and it just died on me. So I wasn't able to film myself when I was done running in this shoe. But first miles in the Adios Pro 4, as I mentioned earlier, a couple really big changes from the Adios Pro 3. I think they're both really good shoes, but now they're also very different shoes. So is this going to work better for you than the Adios Pro 3? I think it depends on the type of runner and also the type of races that you're looking to run. So let's break down some of the differences between these shoes. I think really one of the biggest ones is the upper. This has really kind of like a scratchy upper. It's not very soft. And the way that the eyelets work on this, some people had issues with this rubbing. Some people had issues with the heel lock, and also the tongue just kind of floats in here. It's not really secured well, and there's no padding in the tongue at all. So some of the differences with the new shoe, this upper is really actually kind of smooth to the touch. It's very soft and almost luxurious by comparison. This does have a bit of a toe bumper in here. I've seen some people saying on longer runs they've had some rubbing in here because one of the things that I noticed as well, Adidas shoes tend to run narrow, which these both do, but I feel like these ones in a size 12 are definitely a little bit longer than these ones are. So I got them both in a 12. I have room in this shoe, whereas this one, it's kind of right up against the front. I'm right about there. So I'll have to see when I take these for a long run if I have any kind of issues with rubbing. But overall, the fit of the upper is excellent in this shoe. Really comfortable. The way the eyelets are, there's no pressure there. And you can see in the middle of the tongue here, this entire piece is padded. So you get some nice padding to help relieve that lace pressure. And the tongue is also stitched in now. So it's not moving at all. Fit of the upper is a significant improvement from the previous shoe. A lot of people have pointed out before too, there's a little saying under there. It says, "This too shall pass." I don't know that that really has any point, but if you ever flip up the little thing that doesn't even need to be there because the shoe's easy to put on, you get to see the little saying. I think this is the longest I've ever seen a shoe company go between the one model and the next model. It was over 2 years between the release of the Adios Pro 3 and the Pro 4. In between there, Adidas did have the Pro Evo 1, which is the $500 ridiculously light elite shoe that most people will never wear. And even me personally, if I could get that, I don't want to spend $500 on a shoe that's not durable. I also don't think I'm the right person to run in that shoe. I'm a decent runner, but I'm not an elite. I'd just be throwing my money away on this non-durable shoe. So this has taken a lot of the design cues from that shoe, the way that it looks, the way that they move the rocker point in this shoe further back. You can see that has a much steeper angle in the front of the shoe than the outgoing model. So this is really designed to kind of get you onto your toes faster than this shoe. And as far as the midsole goes, again, they both say Light Strike Pro, but you'll notice even now how much creasing there is in this. It looks to me more like Zoom X, where it's a lot softer foam, where this is like that impenetrable Light Strike Pro, where you can see you can squish in on this, but it's overall a pretty firm shoe. Whereas this one is like, when you press in on this, it just completely collapses. So this is a really, really squishy foam compared to what's in the 3. They also made a larger central channel in the 4 compared to the 3. Right here, they cut out a little bit more of the foam to give it some more of that trampoline-like effect. And you can see the outsole is very different as well. This is all Continental rubber. This one, Adidas, has a new rubber that they're calling Light Traction, but you can see there's a lot more ridges here, whereas the previous shoe is pretty much just smooth. So this does have better grip. This is a grippier outsole, and then there's one patch of Continental rubber there, which is where you're toeing off, so they wanted that part to be more durable, so they put that tacky Continental rubber there. So far, really liking the outsole of this shoe as well. Both shoes have the same carbon rod setup in them, and they're both very stiff. So these are not a bendable shoe at all. If you try and give these a bend, this one I have a little bit more, but that's just because there's no rods in this part right there. In hand, I can actually really feel the weight difference between these two as well. Again, this lost about 1.3 ounces in my size, which is pretty significant. It puts it kind of right in the category of these guys right there. The Vaporfly, the Puma Deviate Elite 3, and the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris. It's just heavier than those two, which are two of my lightest shoes. So this has really joined the conversation as one of the lightest, fastest super shoes. One thing that I was actually very pleasantly surprised about too is the fact that this shoe is so soft. I didn't feel like I was bottoming out in it. A lot of times when a shoe is too soft, it's hard for me to run fast in it because I'm a larger runner. I'm 6'4", 230 pounds, so I tend to compress midsoles of shoes that are too soft more than a lighter runner would. However, with these, all I was really feeling was that nice bounce and energy return. They're not sinking in too much, so that's a good thing. I thought with the way that this shoe feels, as far as running slower miles, that's where the Adios Pro 3 I feel like would definitely be better than this because it's just firmer overall, so it's more stable when you're running slow. But when you get into like your marathon pace or anything faster than that, then this foam is definitely gives you more bounce than the Adios Pro 3, and it doesn't feel unstable or too squishy. I think it's also helped by the fact that that rocker starts earlier, so it's giving you a little bit of squish and immediately bounces and gets you onto that rocker. So before you sink in too much, it's already moving you on to your next step. So I think the geometry of this shoe really lends itself well towards giving you a nice bounce and energy return and then springing you right to the toe. The run I did today is really not a fair comparison between these two shoes because the first 2 miles that I did in the Pro 3, I really was just kind of running casually what I thought felt good in the shoe. Wasn't really pushing that hard. I averaged a 7:22 pace for those 2 miles, and I got up to 5:13 mile pace at my fastest when I kind of sprinted at the end. I just wanted to try and get up to my top speed in that shoe to compare it to the Adios Pro 4, which I was going to do the same thing in right after. Running the same 2 miles in the Adios Pro 4 right after, I averaged 6:57 pace, and I got up to 4:45 pace when I was sprinting at the end. So I could really feel that it was a faster shoe, but also I was running faster in that shoe. It was a new shoe. I was excited. I was running faster. I was running what felt comfortable in the shoe, but I was also putting a little bit more effort into it to see how it felt. So I really need to do a true test and use this shoe more to do a real in-depth comparison between the two, but I just wanted to get my first impression review out there for the initial differences that I'm feeling between the two shoes. So to summarize my first impressions, I really think Adidas made a lot of very good updates to this shoe. It's a lighter shoe, it's a bouncier shoe, it's a faster shoe, has a more aggressive rocker to it, it's a more comfortable upper, a grippier outsole. all positives in that respect. The feel of the shoe is also very different. I feel like this one is much more encouraging me to have a faster turnover and want to run fast. So to me, I think for like a 10K or a 5K, I would definitely run faster in this shoe than in the Pro 3. But which one's going to be better for the marathon, that I can't give you a definitive answer yet, because I got to put more miles in this shoe. I really need to take this for a long run and see if that softer foam affects me in any way stability wise over longer miles. But definitely when you're turning up the pace, this shoe's much more capable of doing it than the Adios Pro 3. Just the way that it bounces you forward and gets you onto that rocker, this has more of that aggressive, springy feeling that you'd find from some of the other top super shoes. So should you be upgrading to the Adios Pro 4 or finding the Pro 3 on discount? The answer to both is yes. I think they kind of serve a little bit different of a purpose. I think this shoe would actually be better for training miles. It's more stable. It's better at slower paces. So if you're doing a lot of long runs and kind of marathon training, I think this is going to be more durable, especially because that Light Strike Pro is much firmer in this shoe. So I think it's going to be able to take more mileage. I proved that with my previous Adios Pro 3. That has over 150 miles on it and feels as good as new. I feel like since this foam is softer and kind of more reminiscent of Zoom X, that it may also bottom out sooner. So that's another thing. I haven't run in the shoe enough to see how durable it's going to be over time. This shoe was one of the most durable super shoes out there. I think for slower miles and for durability, this one may have an advantage, but for just going all out speed, this one is definitely the faster of the two shoes. I also need to see how the stability works for me in this shoe over a longer run. When I was running marathon pace or faster, it actually really did feel comfortable and stable and propulsive and had me turning over my cadence and just felt like I could run all day at that pace. So that's a great sign. But when I take my foot off the gas a little bit, that's when you can feel kind of the little bit more of the softness and instability of the heel of the shoe compared to the 3. So I definitely want to look at that in the long term, which one's going to be more durable, and is this shoe capable of running slow paces, or is it really just for your faster runs? So I think another big question is, if you really enjoy the Adios Pro 3 and this shoe works really well for you, will this one also work really well for you? I don't know. To be honest, there's such a different feel between these two shoes now. I think Adidas made a lot of impressive changes to improve this shoe, but it also feels like a completely different shoe. So if you absolutely love this one, you may like all the changes that they made here and think this is even better, or you might be missing, the firmness of this one, the stability of this one. You might find this one a little bit more wild, but to be honest, I really like the feel of both of them. I just think I'm going to use them for different things now. I could see myself using this more for longer runs, and I really want to see, as I said before, I got to take this out for a long run and see how if I run 10 miles in it, does it still feeling propulsive? Is it not getting too soft for me? Is it still a marathon shoe for me? So my initial impression is this is a better shoe. It is a faster shoe. I want to run 5K in this right now to test out that top end speed. But which one's going to be better for the marathon? Which one's going to be more durable? I got to put more miles in it to see how this one really compares. If you've run in the Adios Pro 3 or the Adios Pro 4, feel free to leave a message in the comments. I'd like to have a conversation with you about it. Tell me what you like and what you don't like about both shoes. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I'm getting very close to 1,000 subscribers. So let's give me a Christmas present and get me to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'd appreciate it. I'm really going to put this shoe through its paces soon and do some tempo runs, some intervals, and really put in a lot more miles to give a more detailed review. So look for that coming soon. I'll see you in the next one.